If you guys saw, I posted on Twitter earlier, there was an article posted about, it's a common argument that's been going on in comics for a long time, which is what the Punisher logo means and its association with law enforcement. And that was fine when it was just comics people arguing about it, but now they're bringing that storyline into the Daredevil Born Again series, which I am not a fan of. This article says, Daredevil Born Again reportedly shows Jon Bernthal's Punisher go on a rampage after racist cops misuse his logo. And he says, "You and I are not the same." Now, the funny thing is, that's a funny misconstruction of the original idea of that comic, which was, he says to a cop, he says, "Look, I'm a criminal. You're law enforcement. You shouldn't be worshiping my logo. That doesn't make any sense," which is fine, right? My problem is actually more the fact that they're turning something that is clearly like an in conversation between comics nerds and people in that industry, and turning it into a meta storyline that doesn't need to be there. Like, I don't want cops in the world that in which the Punisher, Frank Castle, exists. I don't want them to think about the Punisher logo at all. I don't want it to matter. In the Daredevil series, if we're not talking about the comics, if we're talking about the series, he doesn't even really put the skull logo on until almost the end of his run in Daredevil. Also, I would have to ask, like, do they really think that normies, especially normie law enforcement officers, know a ton about Punisher ideology and history? I would bet that most see a cool logo, because let's face it, it is a super cool logo, and they at most know he's a cool anti-hero that likes guns.
Well, that's just it. Like, this is what's happening. It's a convenient way to just have the Punisher go on a rampage. Like, the anti-hero, you can't really do that anymore. It's not allowed. The few examples are Deadpool, because he's funny
I
and
disagree
jokes the whole time.
I think more than ever they actually push this type of gray level, gray morality.
But you can't have the Punisher go on a rampage nowadays unless it's for some noble cause. Those racist cops, we'll get them.
It's also,
right?
That was the other thing I was saying. Is like, what about the not racist cops who like the logo? Are they okay? Like,
well, they think all cops are racist.
Exactly.
Imagine the one guy that just happened to be on shift that day, and now his family's got no father because the Punisher got triggered by someone else using, like, this seems like a copyright issue.
It seems like they've racialized the encounter that happened in the comics where he said, "You and I are not the same." So originally it was about him being a criminal and them being law enforcement.
Yes.
Now it's about him being not racist and them being racist.
Which reminded me of the hilarious gaffe that went on during the show Peacemaker, in which everybody hates Peacemaker's dad.
We've got a super chat from Shane H. Wilder. He said, "What's next? Are they going to retcon out Daredevil's Catholicism in order to push a narrative, even though it's a titular part of his character?
Yes.
Stay salty, my brothers and sister. After all, you are the salt of the earth."
I don't think they'll ever retcon out his Christian his Catholicism. I think they lean less on it. Here's the thing, though. Okay, so the average cop is not steeped in ideology. They don't care. And I lost my train of thought. I was talking about Peacemaker. Okay, so in the show Peacemaker, Peacemaker's dad, who was a white supremacist, raises his son to be a thoughtless killer. Right? And in the show, they never get mad at his dad for raising a kid to be a murderer. They get mad at his dad for being racist, which is like, really?
Again, though, like Peacemaker's
they're both bad.
Is an example of what I was saying. Anti-hero, you can't just be an anti-hero that does badass things. Like, you have to be charming and witty, and that's what John Cena is with that character. Like, that's what Deadpool is. Like, you can't actually just have a anti-hero that just goes on a rampage unless there's some angle to it, right? Unless it's for a noble cause or he's being silly and funny and cute, right? Like, that doesn't, like, I'm trying to think of an example of truly just a rampage in a recent show or movie that was just that in itself. I mean, the art of the John Wick, I guess.
John Wick, yeah, I was immediately thinking.
Yeah, but those are bad. But those are still considered bad guys.
Well, it's like the only bad things that bad guys can do in cinema now, and I'm not saying these things aren't wrong, but it's grape and racism and hurting animals. That's the only thing that you can do. Maybe capitalism is also on that list.
Yes, businessmen are bad.
Businessmen, they're bad. So those things are what you're allowed to seek retribution for. Anything else, any level of betrayal, personal slights.
So think about, like he says, you and I are not the same. Why? Because you're racist. But and then what if the cop's like, okay, sure, I guess I'm that, but you kill people without due process. So
that's
are
but
you
that's
any
not,
better?
in their moral compass, that doesn't carry anything.
And the sad fact of the matter is, normie people don't understand this weird obsession you have with this. They just see the logo. They think he's that the logo is cool. At most,
I doubt they know what the Punisher is.
And they don't realize that a lot of this is because Jerry Conway, the creator of the character, had come out and said that he doesn't like the fact that cops in the military adopt the logo. This was the quote that I thought was funny. It says, it certainly makes a great emotional release when they talk about cops who identify with Frank Castle because he's a traumatized veteran. Like I said, I bet you half those cops don't even know that the Punisher's name is Frank Castle. It says, but the trouble begins when cops love the symbol and essentially adopt the ideology of the character in their real life and line of work.
Imagine thinking people
they don't have the time of day for
pay this much attention to what you're creating. That's like an inflated sense of your own creation's relevance to the culture.
Exactly.
The logo is what has relevance to the culture, not the story behind it.
It's kind of
which
like,
actually, if you're thinking about making a profit, is what's important. Making something that's marketable, even divorced from the source material. Unfortunately, that's how you make money that can support more creativity in comics. Selling things with a logo on it that people don't know what it means or what it's from, that's how you support that industry.
You know that the character of, I'm going to get back to the point here real quick. You know the character, have you ever seen the bumper stickers? It's Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes peeing on something, and you can just insert anything.
It's usually a football logo.
It's some type of logo, and it's but those were never actually legally made because Bill Watterson, who created those comics, created the Calvin and Hobbes comics, never allowed any of that to be licensed. He wouldn't even allow them to make Hobbes plushies to be made because he thought it destroyed the creativity of the character. The other thing about this is that my main issue with it is, it's fine when people want to have these arguments in the comic circle. I get it. Like, I think it's stupid and I think they're wrong, but it's inside baseball, and that makes sense. Right. Making it part of the regular story. Go for it.
Old Warrior 34. Yeah. That says, even in comics, they're trying to rebrand the Punisher into a samurai by changing his logo and making him use only swords.
Yeah, they got rid of
characters.
No, it's got nothing to do with that. They did this they wanted to distance themselves from the self-understood stigma around the Punisher that's not actually there, but it's in their paranoid brains that there's a stigma there.
Well, there are two people on Twitter that have brought it up to them, and so they think it's a huge problem.
What they did is they changed the logo, they gave him swords, and if I remember correctly, they made him the leader of the Hand, and then him and Daredevil both took. The Hand is a ninja organization within that part of the Marvel universe. It's stupid, all of it's stupid, but the biggest problem I have with it is that it doesn't make sense. You're taking a serious storyline and a serious character that does serious things, and you're making it a weird type of meta that I don't like. The story is serious enough and should have enough gravitas that it doesn't need some type of lame meta hook to get people involved.
To get people who hate cops to pog at the screen when they see this scene. I don't even know if it's real because it's just some random gossip account that reported it. But
Daredevil's forgettable to me anyway. Good. I'm glad they're doing this they can just end the series.
And here's the thing, guys. Somebody mentions Punisher and Batman. I said, you don't ever see cops with a sticker of Batman. He's a vigilante.
You know what they do? I like the Decepticon logo. That's pretty cool, though. And you'll see that. But then again, the cops were Decepticons in the Transformers movies.
Yes, they were. Yeah, they were. That's funny. I forgot about that. Yeah. And they even had they remember when they suddenly could become humans too in the Transformers 2, which made no sense. I loved it. Here's the thing, guys. If you don't remember Netflix Daredevil, don't watch the show when it comes up. There's one there from Because Reasons.
Because Reasons said, what about defunded cops who are told not to enforce many laws or defend the Constitution that have to become said anti-hero? Can they wear the logo?
I would.
I don't know what that entails.
I would ask them to, if they're being told to enforce unjust laws and to not follow the Constitution, to leave the profession.
Yeah.
I think everyone in this conversation, involved in this conversation, is cringe. The people who are triggered when they see the Punisher logo on the back of somebody's car, they're cringe. And the people who put that sticker on the back of their car with a thin blue line on
That
it
is
are
the
just,
worst.
are just as cringe because you're using the creation of literally Disney, like the biggest entertainment mega corporation there is.
That logo
to represent
before
what? Like
that logo existed before it was a Disney property. So that's like,
well, sure, but now we're looking at it because Daredevil Reborn is happening and now it's a Disney property. But you're using like a Disney logo to represent your opposition to the system or something. Like it doesn't make sense on either side of the issue.
There's one from George Ware right there.
George Ware said, as a cop, I wear a Frank Castle logo. Can you milk me? Falker?
I'll ask you this. When you...
Falker.
Kellen's face right now is fantastic.
You get the reference.
I gotta watch that movie again now.
Like wearing the logo, do you wear it because you like the logo or because you subscribe to Punisher's ideology? And for the other cops that you know,
does he have an ideology?
I mean, his story has changed from the comics to the television series. They make him much more sympathetic in the television series. But I would ask George Ware, do the other cops who have that logo on something, if you do know any of them, are they Punisher fans or do they just like the logo? And I do want to point out before we move on, guys, go back and just watch Daredevil season 2 and the first season of The Punisher. Do not watch this garbage that's coming out with Daredevil Born Again. And in particular, when I talk about a serious show, I'm talking about two things in particular. There is the scene on the roof in which Daredevil and Punisher go back and forth about their methodological approach to fighting crime. Daredevil's being... There's always going to be the opportunity for redemption. Anybody can be redeemed. You can't just, off them because they're bad people, right? You have to give them, and that speaks to the roots of his Catholic beliefs. Punisher says they're scum. They need to be removed from the equation. And he's dealing with the grief and loss of his wife and children.
Right.
So it's understandable from both. That scene, there's more serious behavior and conversation in that scene than any Disney movie in the last 20 years. And then also the scene when Punisher, when Frank Castle and Daredevil are at the graves of Frank's wife and kids, and he talks about coming home from war, how the horrors of war pale in comparison to the joy and the beauty of seeing your child again for the first time, and then to have all of that snatched away from you so quickly, which informs his motives after being caught. Just go watch that instead. It's better. It's far better.
I want to know why they canceled Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and the Punisher series, and I think Daredevil, the original, right? That was part of that group.
Yes.
And I don't know why. Like, Jessica Jones was loved. She was a badass. It was a great few seasons. Luke Cage was cool.
The first season of Jessica Jones was really good. George Ware did respond. He said, "We wear the logo as a reminder that sometimes it's about doing the right thing, not just the law." Okay, that's a fair enough explanation. But I would like to know what percentage of them use that logo, or understand what that means.
In a thoughtful way. I feel like ascribing any ideology to the Punisher logo doesn't make sense.
Right. And here's an idea, how about police departments just come up with their own cool logos? Come on.
I thought they had those already.
They have badges, like a seal.
They have a badge.
But, they have individual seals and stuff. That's probably not the right word. But yeah, I mean, why doesn't a police department actually hire a graphic artist and make an awesome logo? Don't give anyone a reason to use Disney stuff.
Yep. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.